The most mysterious book in human history was just decoded, and what it says has left scholars completely speechless. For over a century, the Voynich Manuscript has defeated the greatest code breakers, linguists, and cryptographers on the planet. The NSA tried. World War II enigma veterans tried. Entire academic careers were built and broken on its pages. But now a series of serious, peer-reviewed attempts are finally cracking the surface. And what's emerging from beneath that unreadable text is something nobody was prepared for. Tonight, we're going deep. Where this book came from, why it's unlike anything else ever written, and what researchers now believe it actually says. Let's start at the beginning. In 1912, a Polish book dealer named Wilfrid Voynich was rummaging through a collection of manuscripts at a Jesuit villa in Italy when he found something that stopped him cold. A small, weathered book, roughly 240 pages, covered from margin to margin in a completely unknown script, accompanied by illustrations that looked like nothing from any known tradition. Strange plants that don't exist in nature, naked figures bathing in green liquid connected by elaborate pipe systems, astronomical diagrams that don't match any recognizable star charts, circular illustrations that seem to depict something, but nobody could agree on what. Voynich immediately recognized he had something extraordinary. He tried to sell it to the Vatican. He tried to get scholars interested. He spent the rest of his life trying to find someone who could read it. Nobody could. The manuscript eventually made its way to Yale University's Botanical Rare Book Library, where it sits today under the catalogue number MS-408. Radiocarbon dating, conducted in 2009, confirmed the vellum, the animal skin pages, dates to the early 15th century, somewhere between 1404 and 1438. The ink, the pigments, the binding, all consistent with that era. This is not a modern forgery. Whatever this book is, it is genuinely old, and genuinely unlike anything else that has ever been found. Here is where things get strange. The Voynich script contains somewhere between 25 and 40 distinct characters, depending on how you analyze them. Statistical analysis confirms the text follows patterns consistent with a real language, word frequency distributions, letter combinations, structural rules. It is not random gibberish. Something is encoded here, something deliberate, something that someone 600 years ago desperately wanted to write down. But here's what makes cryptographers lose sleep. Despite behaving statistically like a real language, the Voynich script has resisted every known method of decipherment. The frequency analysis that cracked Caesar ciphers doesn't work. The substitution methods that broke the enigma code don't work. Even modern AI-assisted pattern recognition has failed to produce a clean solution. The vocabulary is too large for a simple cipher, too structured for a hoax, and too alien for any known natural language family. And then there are the illustrations. Botanists have spent decades trying to identify the plants drawn in the manuscript's herbal section. A handful bear a passing resemblance to real species. Most do not. They appear to be composite creatures, parts of real plants stitched together into something that never grew anywhere on Earth. Some researchers have suggested they may be drawn from imagination, or from a pharmacological tradition so obscure it left no other trace in history. The astronomical section is equally baffling. The circular diagrams appear to show the sun, moon, and stars, but the arrangements don't match medieval European astronomy, and they don't match Arabic astronomy either. One researcher spent 3 years cross-referencing every major astronomical tradition from the 15th century. Nothing matched. What investigators found next shocked everyone. When linguist Dr. Stephen Bax published his partial decipherment attempt in 2014, one of the most credible academic efforts to date, he identified what he believed were proper nouns embedded in the text. Star names, plant names, words that appeared to match terms found in medieval Arabic and Hebrew astronomical texts. He identified around 10 words with reasonable confidence. It wasn't a full translation, but it was the first time anyone had pointed to specific words and said, with evidence, this is what these mean. If you're finding this as mind-blowing as I am, hit that like button and subscribe, because what comes next is where this story gets truly unsettling. In 2019, a University of Bristol researcher named Gerard Cheshire published a paper claiming a full decipherment. He argued the manuscript was written in a lost medieval language he called Proto-Romance, a linguistic ancestor connecting early Latin-based languages spoken across southern Europe and the Mediterranean. According to Cheshire, the manuscript is a women's health manual, covering herbal remedies, reproductive medicine, and balneology, the therapeutic use of baths. Hence the figures in the liquid pools. Hence the strange plant illustrations, not unknown species, but stylized representations of real medicinal herbs drawn in an unfamiliar tradition. The academic community responded with intense skepticism. Several prominent linguists publicly challenged Cheshire's methodology. His university distanced itself from the conclusions. The peer review process has remained contentious. But here's what those critics could not dismiss. Some of Cheshire's proposed translations produced internally consistent sentences when applied across multiple unconnected pages of the manuscript. Internally consistent, across 240 pages of an allegedly unreadable text. That is not nothing. So where does that leave us? 3 serious theories currently compete for credibility. The first is that the Voynich Manuscript is a genuine encrypted text in a real language, possibly Hebrew, Arabic, or an early Romance language, enciphered using a method sophisticated enough to have simply outlasted every codebreaker who has attempted it. In this theory, somewhere in the manuscript is real medical, botanical, or astronomical knowledge that someone wanted to protect or preserve. The second theory is that it is a constructed language, a deliberately invented script created either as a philosophical exercise, a mnemonic system, or possibly an early attempt at a universal language. Several Renaissance thinkers were experimenting with constructed languages in exactly this period. The third theory, still advanced by a minority of serious scholars, is that the manuscript is an elaborate hoax, not a modern one, but a 15th century one, produced to sell to wealthy collectors who paid generously for exotic manuscripts. In this reading, the statistical language-like properties are intentional mimicry, a skilled scribe imitating the surface patterns of writing without encoding any real content. Here is the most disturbing part. All 3 theories have been rigorously tested. None has been definitively eliminated. After more than a century of serious cryptographic effort, including contributions from some of the most brilliant analytical minds in modern history, we still cannot say with certainty whether this book contains a message or not. Think about that. We cannot determine whether meaning exists inside it. A book that behaves like language, looks like knowledge, and resists every tool we have built to understand communication. Either someone encoded something so cleverly that 6 centuries of analysis haven't touched it, or someone created the perfect illusion of meaning and we are still falling for it. Either answer should unsettle you. The Voynich Manuscript remains at Yale, fully digitized, freely available online. Millions of people have looked at it. Hundreds of researchers have devoted years to it, and it keeps its secrets. Thank you for watching. I want to know what you think, because this is genuinely one of those cases where smart, informed people land in completely different places. Do you believe there's a real message hidden in those pages? Or is the greatest mystery simply that there is no mystery at all? Leave your answer in the comments. I read every single one. And if this video made you think, please like it and subscribe. New deep dives like this one go up every week, and you won't want to miss what we're covering next.